All right, this video is on simple decimal notation. The first question, what is the following decimal in fraction form? Well, I like to just make my little place value chart. Remember, I call this 1 whole, then this would be 1/10, and this would be 100. If this doesn't make sense to you, you should watch the video before this one. All right, so now I've got this written down, and I'm just going to write. There's the 0, so 0 wholes, and 57. Now, all I do is I say, there's no wholes. It's just, I say the number up top here, and I say it's 57. So I know that goes in the numerator. And then I just see where the last digit falls. It's 57, and I know that's in hundreds. So I know this is 57 hundredths. If you don't want to do it that way, some people just go 57 tenths hundredths, so they know it's 57 hundredths. But I like to use the place value chart. So this was the answer. So 57 hundredths in fraction form. Next problem. Joshua found a stick that was 12 hundredths meters long. How many meters long was the stick in decimal form? So the thing that makes this scary is just the word meters. Well, what if you just said, you have this fraction, 12 hundredths, can you turn it into decimal form? Because that's all they're asking. So remember, I just make my place value chart. Okay, right next to the decimal point, I know this is 1 whole. And then I just add zeros to the numerator, the denominator. So remember, this is the numerator, this is the denominator. I can turn 1 whole to 1/1. So then I'm just going to add zeros. 1/10. So that's 0 zeros, 1 zeros, 2 zeros, and now I have it. Now, it says I have 12 hundredths. Now, when I'm writing this on my decimal place value chart that I like to call this, I know the 2 needs to end in the hundredths place. So if I write 12 here, the 2 digit will end in the tenths place, so that's not correct. So it must be here. So the answer to this one would be written, I guess you could say 12 hundredths is equal to 0. So I should have added a 0 here as the placeholder. And 12 hundredths. So here's your answer right here. All right, the next problem. Which of the statements below are true? Select all that apply. So we have point A is supposed to be 26 hundredths. Point B is supposed to be 49 hundredths. Point C is equal to 69 hundredths, and point D is equal to 77 hundredths. Now when we do this, we probably want, it looks like they want us to find out where, if these points are in the correct spot on the number line. So the first thing we have to do is see how many divisions we have. So I have hop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we divided 1 whole into 10 pieces. And this is hundreds, it looks like. All of these are in hundreds. So if I divided 100 into 10 pieces, I would have, I'd divide them into tenths, hundreds, right? I'd do 10, I'd start at 10 hundredths, right? So I'm going to do that here. I'm going to put, this looks like 0.10. This looks like 0.20. This looks like 0, and I should say 30 hundredths. So this is 0 and 10 hundredths, 0 and 20 hundredths, 0 and 30 hundredths, 0 and 40 hundredths, 0 and 50 hundredths, 0 and 60 hundredths, 0 and and 70 hundredths, 0 and 80 hundredths, 0 and 90 hundredths, and then we get to 1 whole, right? So now what I'm going to do is see if the lengths are correct. So point A says it's at 26 hundredths. So this is 10 hundredths, 20. That looks correct. That looks very close. So I'm going to circle that. Point B looks like it's at 10, 20 hundredths, 30 hundredths, 40, like between 40 and 45 hundredths. It's definitely not way over here and close to 50 hundredths. So I'm going to cross that out. Point C is at 69 hundredths. So let's see. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. 70 hundredths is here. That looks very close. So I'm going to say that's correct. And point D is at 77 hundredths. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 hundredths, 80 hundredths. Wait, it looks like it's more at like 85. So this is definitely incorrect. So that's how you would make a number line. Remember, count the divisions. Try to look at the problem to see if you're in tenths or in hundredths, and then just count them up, because we could have done this in tenths, right? We could have done it in tenths and just looked at the 10, but I decided to look here in hundredths and put this accordingly. I hope that helps. Thanks. Bye.